Hello everyone. Let us just make sure that we have properly gone live before we start the session. There was a slight issue in between. Uh, slight bit of an issue going live. Let's see. Now we have properly gone live. I think we are live. Gone live. Yes, we have. We have gone live, guys. So yes, we have. Hello and welcome to everyone on YouTube on my live session on Unacademy's channel. तो आज के सेशन में हम बात करने वाले किस तरह से हम कॉम्प्लिकेटेड या डिफ़िकल्ट पैसेजेस को समझ सकते हैं. हाउ टू अंडरस्टैंड, हाउ टू डेवलप एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग फॉर पैसेजेस और आइडियाज़ दैट आर कॉम्प्लिकेटेड. So first and foremost, the first thing I would like to tell all of you, if you are looking to improve your language in any form, is that one, you have to start reading as much as possible, because it is only reading that can really help you get into the groove of understanding, get into the groove of learning. And वो बहुत ज़्यादा important हो जाता है in order to be able to understand passages that are complicated. Hello Kundan, कैसे हैं आप? How are you doing Kundan? So जो लाइव आ चुके हैं हमारे साथ, चैट में मैसेज करें, लाइव चैट पे मैसेज करें, मुझे बताएं कौन कौन हैं जिन्होंने हमें अभी लाइव ज्वाइन किया है. सो आज हम बात करने वाले हैं सॉरी जस्ट सेकंड, चैट में देखें किस किस ने क्या क्या मैसेज किया है. सर लीगल रीजनिंग, ये क्लास तो पैसेज रीडिंग की है कुंदन. लीगल रीजनिंग की क्लास में लूँगा अनअकैडमी स्पेशल प्लेटफॉर्म पे. हेलो शामीम, कैसे हो आप? हाउ आर यू डूइंग माय डियर फ्रेंड? आई होप यू आर डूइंग फाइन. सो इन टुडेज पैसेज वी आर गोइंग टू अंडर शामीम एंड कुंदन, आज हम पढ़ने वाले किस तरह से कॉम्प्लिकेटेड या डिफिकल्ट पैसेजेस को समझना है, उसके लिए क्या क्या चीज़ें हैं जो करनी है. नाउ ये रेगुलर कंप्लेन मैं मेरे स्टूडेंट से. लीगल रीजनिंग की क्लास कुंदन, आज ये वाली क्लास इंग्लिश की है. लीगल रीजनिंग की क्लास स्पेशल प्लेटफॉर्म पे होगी. सो अब वहाँ पे आपको मैं लीगल रीजनिंग पढ़ाऊँगा. सो the topics that, or the things that you need to keep in mind in order to be able to understand passages that are slightly complicated, that are slightly difficult. सबसे पहले आपको ये समझना है कि understanding complicated passages is not as difficult as you think it is. It is more to do with your reading style than actually understanding. कई लोगों को ये लगता है कि भाई मुझे जो पैसेज है ये अब समझ ही नहीं आ रहा है, तो दैट इज़ बिकॉज आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड द लैंग्वेज और आई एम नॉट एज गुड एट द लैंग्वेज. मेरी जो लैंग्वेज स्किल्स है उसमें कुछ ना कुछ दिक्कत है, कुछ ना कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स है, ऐसा लोगों को लगता है व्हेनेवर दे आर नॉट एबल टू रीड और परफॉर्म वेल इन अ पैसेज, जबकि ऐसा एक्चुअली है नहीं. इन ऑर्डर टू रीड कॉम्प्लिकेटेड पैसेजेस दैट आर डिफिकल्ट, यू हैव टू फर्स्ट स्टार्ट बाय रीडिंग थिंग्स दैट आर वेरी सिंपल. तो उन लोगों के लिए, दोज हु फाइंड इट एक्सट्रीमली डिफिकल्ट टू रीड पैसेजेस, एक्सट्रीमली डिफिकल्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड कॉम्प्लिकेटेड पैसेजेस, आपसे मैं यही कहूँगा कि आप लोग जो हैं ये पैसेजेस जब रीड करते हो या जब न्यूज़पेपर रीड करते हो, start with things that are much easier, because that's the starting point. Most of you think that you will not be able to read complicated passages. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, आपको बस नॉर्मल सिंपल पैसेजेस रीड करना चालू करना है. अब आप डायरेक्टली अगर हिंदू के एडिटोरियल पैसेजेस रीड करने लग गए तो बड़ी दिक्कत हो जाएगी, है ना, बिकॉज द लैंग्वेज इज़ डिफरेंट, उसमें कॉन्टेक्स्ट की काफ़ी ज़रूरत होती है, इस तरह की कई चीज़ों की वहाँ पे ज़रूरत होती है, विच इज़ नॉट दैट रेडिली अवेलेबल टू अस एट ऑल द टाइम्स. सो इन ऑर्डर टू परफॉर्म वेल एट इन दीज पैसेजेस, सबसे पहले तो आपको रीडिंग की हैबिट डालनी होगी, अंडरस्टैंडिंग की हैबिट डालनी होगी, एंड यू हैव टू रीड इन अ रिदम. व्हेनेवर यू फाइंड अ पैसेज that is extremely difficult, that is super difficult, इंस्टेड ऑफ गिविंग अप ऑन इट, और इवन इफ इट यूजेस, चलो अगर वो ऐसे भी वर्ड्स उस पैसेज में यूज किए जा रहे हैं जो जिनके बारे में आपको नॉलेज नहीं है, जिन वर्ड्स को आप जानते नहीं हो अच्छी तरह से, लेट अस अज्यूम आपके पैसेज में ऐसे वर्ड्स यूज किए जा रहे हैं, बट दोस विल आल्सो फॉर्म 30 to 40% ओनली ऑफ योर होल पैसेज। वो पूरे पैसेज का 30 से 40% ही होगा वो डिफिकल्ट वोकैबुलरी। 30 से 40% मैं बहुत ज़्यादा बोल रहा हूँ, बाकी कितनी सारी चीज़ें हैं जो आप इजीली अभी भी समझ सकते हो, तो यू फोकस ऑन दोस, ब्रेक डाउन योर पैसेज, रीड इट इन सिंपल सिंपल छोटे छोटे पोर्शंस में, उसको ब्रेक डाउन करके आप वो सारे पैसेजेस को रीड करें। सो द पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ लाइफ ऑन मार्स हैज एक्साइटेड द इमेजिनेशन among the scientific community. The current thinking is that life may have existed on Earth's ruddy planetary neighbor a long time ago. Understanding this will enrich our evolution and nurture of life outside Earth. Now, on the first look of it, it looks slightly complicated, but hai nahi. The possibility of life on Mars has excited the imagination. कई सालों से जो है excited the imagination means हमारी इमेजिनेशन को हमेशा उस चीज़ ने बहुत ज़्यादा एक्साइट किया है, उस चीज़ ने हमारे इमेजिनेशन को हमेशा एंटाइज किया है, किस चीज़ ने, पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ लाइफ ऑफ मार्स ने। अमंग द साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी द करंट थिंकिंग इज दैट लाइफ मे हैव एग्जिस्टेड ऑन अर्थ्स रडी प्लानिटरी नेबर अ लॉन्ग टाइम अगो। अब साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी के अंदर ये माना जाता है कि मार्स जो है, यानी जो हमारा, अब मे हैव एग्जिस्टेड ऑन अर्थ्स रडी प्लानिटरी नेबर अ लॉन्ग टाइम अगो। Now here what they are basically meaning is they are referring to Mars. जो मार्स का ये जो अर्थ का ये जो नेबर है, हमारा ये जो नेबर है, वहाँ पे कई सालों पहले शायद लाइफ रही होगी या लाइफ वुड हैव एग्जिस्टेड देयर, ऐसा मानना है हमारी साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी का। द रीजन नासा मिशन मार्च 2020 that was launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida on July 30th, 2020 landed on Jezero Carter in Mars on February 18th to much celebration. अब इसके बारे में बाद में ये डायरेक्टली बताते हैं कि नासा ने बहुत ही रिसेंटली एक मिशन भेजा है केप कैनावरल फ्लोरिडा से, जो फरवरी 18 को हैज़ लैंडेड ऑन मार्स। ऑफ स्पेशल मैग्निफिसेंस was the entry, descent and landing of the mission's Perseverance rover, described as the shortest and most intense part, entering the Martian atmosphere at about 20,000 km per hour. The mission had to bring the Perseverance rover to a halt on the surface in just 7 minutes. Also, since it takes 11 minutes for radio signals to reach the Earth from Mars, the mission control could not really guide the landing, and the rover had to complete the process by itself. During the complicated landing process, using an eye camera, the rover checked the ground below to avoid hazardous terrain, all in a few breathtaking minutes. So, यहाँ पे in the next, if you try to read this passage as a whole, एक ही बार में अगर आप ये passage read करने की कोशिश करो, ये difficult लगेगा, because here they are talking about things that you necessarily don't have context for. पहले तो आपको context की ज़रूरत होगी, आपको समझना होगा कि चल क्या रहा है, basics पढ़ लो इस चीज़ के बारे में, चल क्या रहा है, हो क्या रहा है, understand about that, and then go into reading all of these passages. And even when you do that, break it down into simple portions. So यहाँ पे first they talked about the possibility of life on Mars. Second, they talked about how they have now sent a mission to Mars. And third, they talked about how the landing of that rover was one of the most crucial parts, one of the most difficult parts. And the reason why it was difficult, वो landing इतनी difficult क्यों थी, ये तीनों चीज़ें यहाँ पे बताई गई हैं। तो जिन ने मुझे अभी ज्वाइन किया है Unacademy पे लाइव, you can let me know if you have any doubts at all while we read this passage. So यहाँ पे आज हम फोकस कर रहे हैं कि किस तरह से हम हमारी बेसिक रीडिंग स्किल को, या फिर किस तरह से जो है हम कॉम्प्लिकेटेड पैसेजेस को इजीली समझ सकते हैं। NASA's exploration of Mars has focused on finding traces of water that may have existed and related to finding evidence of ancient life. Its earlier Mars expedition, which carried the Curiosity rover, landed on August 5th, 2012. It identified regions that could have hosted life, expected to last at least the duration of one Mars year or about 687 Earth days. The science goals this time are to look for signs of ancient life and collect rocks and soil samples. Perseverance will take the inquiry made by Curiosity to the next level and search for signs of past life by studying the Jezero Crater. The crater was chosen for study as based on an earlier aerial survey. It was found to be home to an ancient delta. Clay minerals and carbonates were seen, making the crater a good place to search for life's existence. Further, the rover will study the geology here and store samples in place that can be accessed by a future mission which would return them to Earth. The rover will test out technologies that could help sustain the presence of human life there in future. This includes an instrument. Uh, okay, somebody has asked a question, okay, how much time should we take to complete passage? देखो, depending on the number of questions, I ideally tell you that you can take about a minute and a half per question that is given to you. So ideally, अगर आप एक passage read कर रहे हो, तो you should be spending about 5 to 6 minutes on it. If it's a five question wala passage. Now the actual part of that is that each and every student has their own speed. हर person जो है अपनी स्पीड पे रीड करता है. नेसेसरी ये नहीं है कि आप मेरी स्पीड पे रीड करो या जो आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग स्पीड है वो मेरी तरह हो. वी बोथ कैन हैव टू टोटली डिफरेंट स्पीड्स एंड टू टोटली डिफरेंट रीडिंग स्टाइल्स. तो अपनी रीडिंग स्टाइल के हिसाब से, बट येस, it does not mean that you're taking 15-20 minutes. 5 to 7.5, 5 to 10 minutes is a good range in between which you can alternate your reading speed. The crater was chosen for study as based on earlier aerial survey. It was found to be home to an ancient delta. Clay minerals and carbonates were seen, making the crater a good place to search for life's existence. Further, the rover will study the geology here and store samples in a place that can be accessed by a future mission, which would return them to the Earth. The rover will test out technologies that could help sustain the presence of humans there in the future. This includes an instrument to extract oxygen from the atmospheric carbon dioxide. The rover also carries a helicopter named Ingenuity that is specially designed to fly in Mars's thin atmosphere. Its sole purpose would be to demonstrate flight on Mars. Finally, to the question where little green microbes did inhabit Mars in the distant past, only time and perseverance can answer that. So यहाँ पे they are telling what the new rover will be doing. यहाँ पे जो नया rover है, जो नया what do you say, robot है. Basically, rover is a machine. It's a vehicle. It's an RV that will, it's a rover or it's a vehicle that will go around collecting various kinds of data that will help us decide whether life on Mars is possible or not. It will collect a lot of data, and apart from that, they have also sent a helicopter onto the atmosphere that is specially designed to run on Mars, that will tell us whether life is possible on Mars or not. So what you would have noticed here when I was reading was that I read really slowly. And the first and foremost thing that you need to do, if you're looking to understand passages or understand difficult passages rather, is that you should start following the habit of reading slowly. Start following the habit of reading in a manner where you understand what you are reading. And that's the first and foremost thing that all of you need to start doing if you want to improve your reading speed. तो अब अगर किसी को reading पे कुछ भी doubt है तो मुझे बता सकते हैं कि if there is any issue that you are facing when you are reading passages, then you can share it with me and I will be more than glad to help you out with all your queries. Now for all those people who have not subscribed to Unacademy yet, let me tell you that you can use my code KUSHAL20 20 in order to download Unacademy. जितने भी लिंक्स आपको ज़रूरत है Unacademy डाउनलोड करने के लिए, वो सारे लिंक्स मैंने आपको यहाँ पे नीचे दे दिए हैं. They are all there in the description. You have to just click on it, download the app, and once you download the app, guys, you will be able to unlock hours and hours worth of free content. When I say free content, मेरा मतलब लिमिटेड कंटेंट नहीं है. मेरा मतलब ये है कि अनअकैडमी पे जितने भी फैकल्टीज हैं उन सब की फ्री क्लासेस, दे each faculty does at least 1 or 2 free classes in a day, and we have 30 plus or close to 30 faculties on Unacademy. तो आप समझ लो आपके पास दिन में कितनी सारी फ्री क्लासेस अवेलेबल होगी फॉर यू टू लर्न फ्रॉम ऑल दीज वेरियस फैकल्टीज. So do keep it in mind. Do download the app and use it to enhance your preparation for examination, guys. My code is KUSHAL2020. Now let's go to the next passage. Again, repeat the same process of being able to understand a difficult passage. End of an innings on Kiran Bedi's ouster. Ouster is a result of her failure to Kiran Bedi's ouster is मतलब उनको जो बाहर निकाला गया है उसे हम ouster कह रहे हैं यहाँ पे. So the removal of Kiran Bedi as Puducherry's यानी Pondicherry's Lieutenant Governor has provided a sense of relief to the elected government led by the Congress in the Union Territory. Her acrimonious relationship with Chief Minister V. Narayanaswamy over the last 4.5 years eventually led the center to being forced to act against its own nominee to enable smooth administration at a time when the announcement of assembly elections is just around the corner. Despite her laying emphasis on sanitation, rejuvenation of water bodies, and transparency and accountability of administration, Ms. Bedi ended up, in the eyes of public, being someone who was disrupting administration. Her many differences with the CM were well known, be it the suspension of an official over obscenity on social media, the helmet rule for two-wheeler riders, the free rice scheme, pardon me, the appointment of the state election commissioner, quota for government studies in medical admission, or even the manner of release of money from the CM's fund. She was caught up in a war of words with CM instead of being more discreet. She should have shown more restraint as a constitutional functionary and adapted a consensual approach on matters affecting the public or the people directly, even though the lieutenant governor in a union territory, as the president's nominee, enjoys powers superior to those of CM and Council of Ministers. Though it was an amusing sight of the CM holding dharnas not once but twice in the last couple of years, the fault was not entirely his own. So now they are talking about, again, it takes a lot of, whenever you are reading these passages, or especially आप जब editorial passages read कर रहे होते हैं, आप इस बात पे निराश मत होइए कि आपसे रीडिंग नहीं की जा रही और यू आर नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज बीइंग गिवन इन द पैसेज. प्लीज नेवर थिंक दैट, बिकॉज पैसेजेस लाइक दिस रिक्वायर यू टू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ कॉन्टेक्स्ट. इन सब के लिए ज़रूरी होता है कि आप जो है पैसेज को अच्छी तरह से समझें. आप ये समझें कि किस चीज़ के बारे में बात की जा रही है, वॉट इज़ एग्जैक्टली द टॉपिक दैट इज बीइंग टॉक्ड अबाउट इन दैट सिनेरियो. वो बहुत important है. Now here you wouldn't know what exactly is happening. You will get an idea that they are talking about Kiran Bedi and Kiran Bedi being removed as the lieutenant governor, as someone who was a direct nominee of the central government, of the president, all of that. However, you will not understand exactly what happened unless you know what were the things that happened in the past, for which you will have to do a little bit of reading. But once you do that, this passage becomes very very easy for you to understand, because आपको अब इसका background story पता है. Often reading such passages is like trying to read a novel or trying to watch a movie directly from the second part. There are a lot of things you will understand and a lot of other things that you won't. So for that you have to have an understanding of what exactly happened there, what was the scenario, What are they talking about? Here they are basically talking about Kiran Bedi and the fact that Kiran Bedi has been removed from her position as Pondicherry's Lieutenant Governor. And that all of this had only one reason. The reason behind it was that the power, or the CM, more than whom she held power, because that's how it works in a union territory. The CM was not happy, or she was very upfront about the changes she wanted to do, and she wasn't very discreet about it, and that led to a lot of friction between the CM and her, which led to her eventually being removed from the post. All along, he regarded the Lieutenant Governor as the political adversary, with his political activities centered around her. His demand for her ouster grew louder in recent months. It is likely that the Bharatiya Janata Party, which aims to build a base in Puducherry, concluded that her continuation office in the backdrop of the assembly elections could prove a political liability. So now he is saying, now the author is telling us कि what could be one of the reasons? क्या कारण हो सकता है कि फाइनली इतना काम करने के बावजूद, या इतनी पॉलिसीज लाने के बावजूद किरण बेदी को रिमूव किया गया? ऐसे कहा जा रहा है कि असेंबली इलेक्शन आने वाले हैं, एंड इस असेंबली इलेक्शन में बीजेपी की कोशिश ये रहेगी कि वो जो है पौंडीचेरी में अपनी प्रेजेंस वहाँ पे महसूस करवाए, अपनी प्रेजेंस को एस्टैब्लिश करे, एंड दैट प्रेजेंस, as long as Kiran Bedi continues to be there, it will be a problem for them for that, because the CM, the current CM of Puducherry, or the current CM, was looking at her as his political adversary. Yani he was looking at her as his political rival, and ऐसे में to keep her or to continue with her will only make the situations much more difficult for the BJP. Her exit comes at a time when Puducherry is in the midst of political instability. The strength of Congress-led coalition, including the Speaker, is now on a par with that of opposition. After 4-party MLAs, including 2 ministers, quit the assembly since January. On assuming charge as the officiating Lieutenant Governor on Thursday, Tamilisai Soundararajan, the Telangana Governor, ordered a floor test to be held on February 22. Dr. Soundararajan, who is perceived to be cordial towards political leaders of all hues, is expected to restore some measure of cohesion between Raj Niwas and the rest of the official machinery. Irrespective of the outcome of the floor test between Mrs. Bedi's innings in Puducherry, should serve a lesson to those in constitutional position that however well-meaning one's action may be, one should not go beyond the mandated rule. Just give me a second, guys. Let me just quickly put the laptop on charge as it's losing charge. Give me a moment. Pardon me. So now here they are saying, they are explaining what exactly was the situation. Yeah, what was the reason why she was removed. After having explained that, now they are saying what is the current position in this scenario. Now that Kiran Bedi has been removed, somebody else has been sent to take her place, and it is believed that with his background and the kind of approach that this person has, this person, Mr. Soundararajan, Dr. Soundararajan, will be able to establish a slightly more cordial relationships with all the parties. And in the end, they are concluding by saying that no matter how well-meaning somebody's role is, especially in the administration, कितना भी well-meaning उनका role क्यों ना हो, वो कितने भी अच्छे intention के साथ क्यों ना आ रहे हों, but they cannot go beyond the powers that have been given to them by the constitution. That is, each person, each each of your government servants have to stick or have to remain within the purview of constitutionality. these are the things that have been discussed in the passage. And what did you notice? That in order to read these passages, in order to be able to make sense out of these complicated passages, first and foremost what we need is an understanding of the background issues, कि वहाँ पे चल क्या रहा है, किस चीज़ के बारे में बात की जा रही है, एक आपको वो समझ में आना चाहिए. एंड सेकेंड टिप दैट आई कैन गिव यू इज break down the passage into small understandable portions. ये मत कोशिश करो कि आप पूरा पैसेज एक ही साथ एक ही बार में समझ जाओगे. ऐसा करना थोड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा आपके लिए. तो आपको क्या करना है, यू हैव टू रीड द पैसेज by focusing on small areas. First 3-4 lines, what is it saying? Next 3-4 lines, what is it saying? And over a period of time, when you start developing a reading habit like this, you will start understanding things. So slow down, break down the ideas and understand them in a very simple, easy manner. It can help you perform better, and it can also help you remember things for a much longer time. This is what I wanted to share with all of you in today's session. Thank you all for joining me on the Unacademy channel. Go ahead, click on the subscribe button, click on the like button, click on the bell notification. And if you haven't downloaded the Unacademy app and would like to be a part of similar sessions where I discuss about improving your language, you can download the Unacademy app. Unacademy app के सारे लिंक्स यहाँ नीचे दिए गए हैं, और कोड यूज़ कीजिए KUSHAL 2020 so that you can access all the various kinds of lessons, all the lessons taken by our best faculties from across the countries, and also at a mock test which can help you prepare for your examination better. So I will see you all in the next session, guys.